AOS fans, Robin here, back again with a talking head for you, or our new series as we're calling it, Meta Matters. For tonight's first official Meta Matters recording, I'm going to talk about what I like to call a swing when you're winning cards. These are basically cards that help you swing the game further in your favour when things are already going pretty well. So how many of these should you have? Which ones do you take? Which ones are the best, which ones are the worst, what circumstances might you wish to take them? So you can see the cards here, I'll flash them up for you. There's a number of them, and the order in which we tackle them is reasonably arbitrary, but I suppose I should start with what is probably the best of them, which is the only restricted one of the group, and that is Superior Tactician. Now, with its new restricted status, I imagine that people are going to be looking for alternatives to Superior Tactician. The other 9 cards on this page may well be useful for you in those circumstances, some of them possibly not. But anyway, Superior Tactician, as we all know, is scored. This is the third end phase if you have scored 6 or more other objective cards. And with the arrival of so many different score immediately cards over the course of the Nightvault and Shadespire releases, Superior Tactician has become really quite easy to score. And so it's in many decks, and that's why it's been restricted. So looking at the other cards then, I think you opening Gambit scored at an end phase if you have at least one objective card in the preceding action phase. So you're looking for just one score immediately card with that one, so that's quite a good card to have. You could be in a situation where you could end up not scoring it, but most decks have enough score immediately cards in them now, so that opening Gambit will come out. What else do we have? Well, Combination Strike, if you scored at least 2 objective cards in preceding action phase. Now, this is harder to score, obviously, than opening Gambit, which is why it's 2 glory. You do need to get 2 score immediately cards out, so you're going to be really looking to pack your score immediately cards if you're going to try and score Combination Strike. So that's Combination Strike, and then I suppose following on from that is Victory After Victory. Now, Victory After Victory is scored as in an end phase if you scored 3 or more other objective cards in this round. So we're looking at the entire round here. So we are looking at the possibility of scoring a couple of score immediately cards and 1 other card in the end phase, or obviously the other way around. It could be 2 cards in the end phase and 1 score immediately card. Now you are going to have to score 1, otherwise there's no way you can score 3 or more of that objective cards. You have to score 1 score immediately. So again, that's 2. Potentially I think it's a little bit harder to score than Combination Strike, but you can fall back on the fact that you could score a couple of end phase cards and still pull that one out of the bag. Flawless Strategy, on the other hand, scored this in end phase if you scored 2 or more other objectives in this phase. That basically means in the end phase, so you have to ignore all cards scored during the action phase, so all score immediately cards are out of the question there. You actually have to score both of your other cards in your hand, and I think I have always thought that's a tough card to score, and so I'm not sure I would ever take Flawless Strategy personally. What are the other ones? We have Honor Roll, which is score this in an end phase if you scored at least 4 other objective cards in this round. So this, I think, is probably the hardest of them all to score. It's even harder than Victory After Victory, which is 3 cards, and it's the same amount of glory, and this one is 4 cards. So I think Honor Roll is right down the bottom, possibly the most useless of these cards here. Certainly you wouldn't take it over Victory After Victory, which is slightly easier to score, and so Honor Roll is probably the poor man's card for these things. So having ruled out Honor Roll, moving on, we have the Gains card. Now the Gains cards are particularly good for aggro warbands. Solid Gains, I think, is found in most aggro warbands. It's reasonably easy to score. Score this in end phase if you gain at least 3 glory points in this round. So you're looking at maybe picking up a score immediately card, maybe killing a couple of guys, and you're there. Solid Gains, get Tome of Offerings out, and Solid Gains is almost certainly there for you. Really can gain a glory for getting more and more glory. So it's really is a swing when you're winning card. Even more so is Great Gains, where you get 2 if you score at least 5 glory points. And of course, that can be tricky, but if you've got Mollog with the Tome of Offerings on him, that could, toward the end of the game, that could be really good. Probably don't want it out at the beginning of a game, no matter who you're playing. But that's true of a lot of these cards. Superior Tactician can be a nightmare if it turns up in your first turn. Would you include both Solid Gains and Great Gains? I have done in the past. I felt it was a risk. It did pay off. Obviously, there is a certain number of these cards that you can include. You don't want to include too many of them. The combinations are perhaps slightly different, but you wouldn't want to include, I don't think, Victory After Victory, Great Gains and Solid Gains would be asking too much. Perhaps not. I don't know. The good thing about great gains is you don't actually have to score other objective cards to score them, but you do need to rack up a lot of glory in order to pull out great gains. The final two on the list are Frugal and Hoarder, which are subtly different. The score this in the end phase if you have at least 3 unspent glory points. Now, if you can manage to score any of these other cards here, almost you can pick up Frugal. Frugal is great because if you do pick up Supremacy or something like that, you can immediately score it. Or if you do get some score immediately cards towards the end of your action phase, and you haven't got the power cards to play anymore, then maybe you might score Frugal. Hoarder is a pretty tough card. It's a third end phase. You have 9 unspent glory points. It does happen. It's particularly good, I think, if maybe for playing a tome deck where you can suddenly score a lot of glory right at the end of the game, and before you've picked your objectives, could be useful to help score Hoarder. I haven't used it. I kind of feel like I should try it. I quite often have a lot of glory left at the end of a game, so you don't tend to score a lot of it. I mean, obviously you can only score pretty much a maximum of 10, and games these days can get towards 20 glory. So Hoarder is possibly a good card to have, as I haven't used it yet. Frugal I think is definitely a good card depending on what you're playing, but it can be really useful. You just have to be careful not to double up on too many of these cards, as I've already said. Would you take Solid Gains or over Frugal? The advantage of Solid Gains is that you can spend the glory straight away, which is good. I think I would maybe go for Solid Gains over Frugal, just because it would still work if you got Supremacy and you had Solid Gains, and or you have Frugal, it would still work. But if you had Solid Gains and you killed a couple of people and spent the glory from doing that, then you would still be able to score Solid Gains, but you might not be able to score Frugal. So I think I'd probably pick Solid Gains over Frugal. What do you guys think? Are these viable alternatives for superior Tactician? I think some of them are. I think certainly opening Gambit you see a lot. Victory After Victory is another good card to include in this lot. As I said, you've got 3 objective cards in this round. They can be hard to score if you don't get the luck of the break, and as I said, you don't want to have too many of them. How many is too many? I'm not sure. I think it depends on which warband you're playing and what style of play you're going for. And really, a lot of it depends on how many score immediately cards you have in your deck. But the last thing you want is to have all of these coming out at once. You certainly don't want great gains or solid gains coming out at once, really. So there we go. They're the cards, like the swing when you're winning cards. Which ones do you take? I don't take that many. I always take Superior Tactician. I think that's still going to make it into my deck, even though it's restricted. I have taken, with my Mulog deck that I've built, solid gains and great gains. You just have to be careful not to take too many. How many is too many? I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the math. I think maybe once you get beyond 3, you start asking for trouble because you don't really want these cards to come out together so much. Maybe depending which ones might be alright, but you just have to get a balance between getting enough other cards to score the effects on these cards and making sure you've got enough glory to score them at the right time. So there you go. What do you think? What are your favourite swing when you're winning cards? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know if I've missed any, because I feel like I've got them all, but you never know in this game. Sometimes there's some sneaky cards out there. There are probably some warband specific equivalents which I haven't picked up. Let me know if I've missed any of those, and in the comments below maybe I'll follow up on that. So until next time in the Mirrored City, I hope you enjoyed this Meta Matters, and we'll see you soon in the Mirrored City.